Well, it's August 21st. Figured I'd give you a little update. Please excuse the noise. It's been a little bit windy up here today. This is the hydroponic system post-disaster that happened over the 4th of July. I waited too long in changing out the nutrient solution. Yeah, I know, I have to feed you. Anyway, that's my cat. Anyway, this is post-disaster. I waited too long to change out the nutrient solution. And though the fog gives the crops more high heat tolerance, there's a limit to it. And even though the air temperatures may not be that high, when the sun hits this PVC, it does radiate a fair amount of heat into the nutrient solution. And the result is I ended up getting this weird bacterial infection. It was sort of like white algae, but it wasn't, because I don't have a light contamination problem. And it was creating these little white strings. You could actually see it in the nutrient bucket. And it completely infected the cucumbers, eventually killing them. And it was just like this white stuff that would get into the roots, not quite a slime, not like you would see with Pythium. And after a while, the roots would brown and everything would start dying. So what I did to wipe out the infection, and this stuff is great. It Phison 20, put about 1 teaspoon for 15 gallons in. The stuff foamed up, and it created. You actually ended up getting this brown foam in the nutrient reservoir, which was basically just dead bacteria. This stuff was just wiping out the bacteria I had, and the white bacteria infection stuff has not come back since. However, I lost a couple tomatoes, and eventually all the cucumbers dropped dead, unfortunately. And in addition to that, at injury upon injury, I ended up with spider mites, some aphid-like creature that weren't aphids, white flies, and some little black fly, I'm not sure it was, started attacking tomatoes and some other items. Basically, spinosad and neem oil wiped out that infection, or that infestation. So what I did is I replanted the cucumbers. These guys are about, I did this like very end of July, it's now August 21st, and already getting some cucumbers on it. I got one here I just replanted again. For some reason it wasn't growing very well, and it just up and died onto me today, so I don't know why. The roots look fine. It's just kind of, I guess it's one of those things. I have had a problem being that we're getting very cool, dry evenings. I started getting powdery mildew on these guys, but a generous coating of neem oil with some dish soap pretty much took care of that. I kept the tomatoes just to try and get them to recover, because they lost all the roots. I mean, there was just no roots left. They just turned brown. I pulled them off. I had tremendous problems with the pH becoming too acid, as all the dead root matter was just rotting and throwing my pH all out of whack. So I kept everything in a high nitrogen, and the roots did come back. This is one guy that survived. So he's got some pretty good roots on that. A little bit of browning from it's from the nutrient solution, not any bacteria or root death. And just recently, I switched finally over to higher phosphates to get everything to bloom. After everything started growing pretty good, and I noticed nutrient solution, plants are sucking up like 3 to 5 gallons a day. So I started getting some pretty good tomatoes on these guys. All the cherry tomatoes. And I've been harvesting about a dozen a day, and they're starting to pick up the amount. I'll probably be up to 2 dozen a day before September's out, assuming I don't get any late blight or anything wiping everything out. The tomatoes seem to be liking the weather. We get warm days, cool evenings. What's not liking it are my peppers. 2 years ago and 3 years ago, we had a couple summers of 95+ degree temperatures. Evenings would be in the low 80s. I had more hot peppers than I know what to do with. This year, just a few peppers. And the ones I had planted in dirt, same thing. Just very, very slow growth. They don't like the evenings. We've been having in the upper 60s to upper 50s. And as I've noticed, it's gotten colder. They've stopped blooming, and their growth has really slowed down. Probably what I'll do is I'll move them into the greenhouse at some point. Right now the greenhouse is full of stuff due to another construction project, but I'll move them in there eventually. And I think if this weather pattern is considered next summer, I'll strictly reserve the peppers for the greenhouses because the evenings are just too cool for them. Originally, these rows, I know this late in the season, these guys may not, these are more tomatoes, they may not grow up, but I'll move them to the greenhouse later. I should be able to keep everything growing through November, assuming it doesn't get too brutally cold. So I'll may get something out of them. Originally I had a lot of lettuce, different lettuces in here, and they survived the great white bacteria, the white slime invasion, but the excessive heat and everything just caused them all to bolt and get bitter, and they weren't worth eating, so I went ahead and pulled them out. Since then, replaced them with some bok choy for my wife's Asian cooking, and they really like the system. They've been doing very, very well. These guys have been in here, this is about the 3rd week. I've already taken 1 harvest off these guys. Also, cilantro's done well, and then I got Chinese celery. This is all stuff for my wife. The corn experiment was kind of a mixed bag. They got wiped out pretty much again by the same bacterial infection. I went ahead, and these guys are just recent transplants. I don't know if they'll put on any ears by before the frost comes in, but I suspect that hydroponic corn may work, but not in this system. I think they need, basically each one needs sort of like the depth of a 5-gallon bucket. It seems like their growth gets stunted in this setup. I did get 1 ear off of them. We did get 1 ear, and it was pretty damn good. It tasted pretty good, but a little more experimentation needs to be done before I come to the conclusion if hydroponic corn is really doable or not. To fix the heat issue, now originally I planned to do a thermal storage system, something kind of fancy, but budget and time did not allow. But I couldn't have the plants die again, so created the little doghouse here. It's just some stuff picked up from Home Depot. Had my carpenter throw it together. Shingles are from some leftover items I had in the basement. And that there is just a chiller you would use on an aquarium. Normally these things are fairly expensive, but I found someone apparently who got sick of maintaining a large saltwater aquarium. He was selling off all the components, so this thing was as good as new, and it was only a fraction of the price. So went ahead and hooked it up. Water from the nutrient bucket goes through this baby, and it cools it down. I still get temperature spikes up into the 80s, 80, 81, but generally I stay between 75 and 78. I'd like to be a little lower, but this guy's really not meant to be run outside. It's meant to be run indoors where you have ambient temperatures, like say 75, 78 degrees. So it gets a little overloaded trying to keep up. So what I'm going to do next year is wrap the rails in reflective bubble insulation. That should cut down the solar heat gain about 90%. On cloudy days where it's warm, I don't have the heat spike problems. It's basically just when the sun starts hitting that PVC, and it really, really heats up. You can see how I hook the pump in to the piping that allows sends the water through the chiller, and basically I haven't had any really plant death problems since then. Still get some root browning. Not sure what's going on. I think one of them, where the roots turned brown, it was a case of the roots were kind of leaning against the PVC, and the surface temperatures just got too warm. So I think next year, once I wrap everything in a reflective insulation, it's going to work a lot better. So one of you guys asked me about the reliability of the fogger. Had a little bit of a problem with it. Changed out the little disc that you're supposed to, and it worked for a while. It was hard to get the disc out, actually, because of due to corrosion. I think next time I'm going to have to take those threads that hold down the disc and little bolts, and probably treat them with some silicone, or better yet, some Teflon grease, just so that they don't corrode together. I did get finally, after a lot of effort, I did get the disc changed out, and then today I checked, and only one of the 5 discs was running. And I took everything out, cleaned it back out. Apparently they had loosened up. I didn't get them tight enough. Tightened them back down. Now 4 of the 5 are running. I guess one of them is dead. So, but with 4 discs running, I'm getting enough fog. Next year I'll just get another one, replace it. So anyway, that's a little 10-minute update. Thanks for watching.